justice, advancing freedom, and working in the public policy environment to ensure that we build stable, strong economies, providing excellent policy guidelines and policy advice to support sound decision-making in our hemisphere. Yes, we do have a lot of challenges in our region, but with organizations like the Wilson Center that concentrate its work around solution, around public policy in a bipartisan way, I think that will help us to find the basis to make better decisions at the national level, regional level, and of course, on the global stage. I want to congratulate also the Lovejoy family for that wonderful award that you're launching. And I want to be the first to invite you to Guyana. Next year, we are launching for the first time the Global Biodiversity Summit. We're working now with President Dugue, former President Dugue of Colombia, on the establishment of the Global Biodiversity Alliance. As you know, we live in a region, and I'm from a country where we have the highest biodiversity density in the world. We live in a world also in which we have lost more than 60% of our biodiversity. We have managed to keep our biodiversity intact, and that is remarkable. However, as much as we have been able to keep this intact, as well as the forests, we also recognize the fact that there must be an economic model to support the biodiversity and the standing forests that we're keeping alive. And that economic model must be able to put a value on these important global assets, and a proper pricing mechanism and market mechanism must be developed to value these assets. Otherwise, we will not be doing this in a sustainable way, and we still live in a world where governments and leaders must be able to provide for the people we serve. We must be able to build infrastructure. In our case in Guyana, we have to raise resources to deal with our infrastructure challenges. A coastal plain that is below sea level, that accounts for more than 80% of the population. So countries like ours are now leading the way in ensuring not only the advocacy is one part of the equation, but ensuring that there's a fair mechanism to value nature-based and environmental products. And that is what we are championing. If I may just briefly outline to you what the LCDS represent and what we are hoping to achieve through the LCDS. As you know, LCDS 2030 was launched following a national consultation, and it was an evolution and expansion of Guyana's original LCDS in 2009, which was the first low-carbon development strategy from any developing country in the world. 15 years after the launch of Guyana's original low-carbon development strategy, LCDS 2030 re-energized Guyana's commitment to sustainable development. It integrates economic growth with environmental preservation, while setting out policy-based approaches to fossil fuel use and climate finance. In particular, it focuses on Guyana's vision to create a global model for recognizing the essential role of tropical forests in the fight against climate change and biodiversity conservation. Since its finalization in July 2022, after a 7-month national consultation, notable progress has been made on LCDS 2030 priorities. Guyana's global model for payment for forest climate service achieved several world firsts in just 2 years. Building from the 2009 Guyana-Norway agreement, which saw Guyana earning US $227 million for the period 2009 to 2015, In 2022, Guyana was issued with the world's first jurisdictional carbon credit under the R3 standard, establishing credits to access voluntary and compliance markets. The country securing the largest carbon credit sale to ever take place in the world, amounting to US $750 million in sales in the voluntary carbon market, and this was with Hess Corporation, a US company. As of September 2024, US $237.5 million of this has been received, and 100% is being invested in community, regional, and national LCDS priorities. Under this program, a guaranteed 15% is transferred directly to the indigenous people of the country. 15% of all the earnings. Further, indigenous communities have a choice to opt in to the program, and that choice is exercised by the communities themselves. A further global milestone was reached in mid-2024 when Guyana's credits became the first in the world to be eligible for Phase 1 of the United Nations Emissions Reduction Program for the aviation sector, CORSIA. This is now paving the way for new sales for the aviation industry. First, and this is a high-value industry. Guyana's sustainable forestry practices continue to be enhanced. Timber and timber products from Guyana will soon bear the prestigious PEFC international label and trademarks, while Guyana was the first country in the Amazon region to sign a voluntary partnership agreement under the European Union's FLEGT initiative. This agreement is expected to enhance market access to Guyanese timber and timber products in Europe and beyond. Work to modernize Guyana's mining industry advanced with the start of a mineral mapping project, one of the first of its kind in the world, where artificial intelligence and traditional techniques will be used to create highly detailed maps for mineral exploration. This will allow miners to continue their business sustainably and open up possibilities for the exploration of critical minerals, including lithium, which is becoming increasingly important to the global economy. Guyana's domestic energy transition continues to be one of the most ambitious in the world. By 2030, the country's energy use is projected to increase fivefold, yet greenhouse gas emissions will stay flat or reduce, while electricity costs for citizens and businesses will decrease. The foundational elements to make this happen are well advanced. The gas-to-shore energy project, which will soon see national electricity end users receiving a 50% reduction in tariffs. Since 2020, solar energy installation has increased by 173%, while we're investing in other off-grid hydro projects to ensure that communities that are not on the grid are also supplied with renewable power. We are also launching the Biodiversity Alliance. We have launched the Biodiversity Alliance, and next year you will see Guyana hosting the first Biodiversity Summit with Concordia, and I'm sure the Wilson Center would not mind being a partner in that summit. So today, I want to say that we are in a very complex global environment, one in which we have to work on many different areas, all of which constitute the security of the world, whether it's climate security, food security, or energy security. We have to find the right balance. The right balance requires everyone to be in the room. We cannot lock out petroleum companies and petroleum producers from the room if we are to achieve a balanced approach to growth and development. In our opinion, In our opinion, all of us must be involved in the conversation to find sustainable solution, to find resources, to invest in research and development so that we can have better technology, greener technology, we can have more efficient system, all of which will contribute to the energy security of the world. You know, in this room, for example, many people will say, let us go solar. And when we go solar, we have the question of where is the batteries coming from. And if 70% of the battery requirement comes from one market, we have to decide whether we want to rely on one market that produces 70% of the batteries. And these are questions that we cannot avoid. These are questions that we ignore. We cannot avoid these questions, but we're ignoring these questions when we talk about a just transition and what constitutes a just transition. A just transition must also be able to deliver reliable energy to every citizen of the world. We still have many countries, many populations that are energy starved. Energy poverty is a real thing, and the energy gap within continents and within country is expanding. So we have to find the right balance, and we are all for finding the right balance. That is why I believe the Wilson Center is important in this dialogue. We cannot allow emotions to drive our actions. We cannot allow the science alone to drive action. There must be a match between economy, science, ecology, and all of it to ensure sustainability and resilience. And that is the match that we have to get. And to do this, we have to get all the players around the table, not separate tables. We can't win by discussing this on separate tables. We have to be able to find common ground on one table to have sustainable solutions. That is our humble view on this matter. On biodiversity protection and water management, significant work has been undertaken to enable the doubling of Guyana's protected area system in 2025. Our mission is to double our protected areas by 2025. Just to understand scale, the size of our forests is the size of England and Scotland combined. It stores 19.5 gigatons of carbon. It has the lowest deforestation rate in the world. That is the product we're talking about. And just understand the type of biodiversity that is kept in this environment. So, the establishment of the International Center for Biodiversity Protection and Restoration of Critical Ecosystem, expansion of Guyana's offering for nature-based solutions beyond carbon, and advancing Guyana's progress towards the global target of conserving at least 30% of the planet's lands and ocean by 2030. That is a commitment the globe made. Protecting 30% of our lands and ocean, which include forests. Guyana is not only committing to this, we have a clear strategy through which we will realize this and maybe surpass this. The next phase of technical work on sustainable urban development, water management, and biodiversity conservation will be complete in early 2025 and will pave the way for further stakeholder engagement and consultation. The LCDS Multi-Stakeholder Steering Committee will continue to have responsibility for oversight of LCDS 2030 development and implementation. I give you some amount of details because when you look at the low carbon development strategy, I don't want you for a moment to believe it's an environmental strategy or it's a climate strategy. I think sometimes when we narrow these strategies just to the environment and climate, it then becomes very difficult to integrate it into the development strategy. So our development strategy is the LCDS 2030, because the LCDS 2030 speak about how we will utilize these natural assets for economic expansion, economic inclusion, community participation, and bringing prosperity to the people. So it's an integrated plan that seeks to use our natural asset to sustain development and expand the economy. So, in conclusion, I am profoundly honored to accept the 2024 Woodrow Wilson Award for Public Service. I want to thank the Center. I want to thank the team in Guyana, a fantastic team. And I want to thank all those who in this room and around the world are working in the forests, on forest credits, carbon credits, biodiversity, working on conservation, but more importantly, everyone who are aligned with the objective of building our economies in a sustainable way, in a way that will ensure resilience, but in a way also that will grow prosperity for our people. And that is what is important. We can have the best strategy, but if that strategy does not bring prosperity or improve the welfare and well-being of people, unfortunately, we will be marked in 4 years or 5 years. And that's the reality. Sometimes people blame politicians and the political environment. But the political environment is a harsh environment. It's an environment in which you must bring results, you must advance the lives of people, you must improve the prosperity of the country, and at the same time, you must do so in a global environment where certain standards must be met. So, I am very pleased that in the words of President Wilson, he once declared, and I quote, "There is no higher religion than human service. To work for the common good is the greatest creed." End of quote. So let us all continue to work in service of humanity, in building a just global system, in building a system in which peace, justice, democracy, and the rule of law will prevail and must prevail above everything else. Thank you very much, and God bless you.
Thank you, President Ali, for those inspiring words. And we have come to the final